Well, hi everyone. Welcome back to Keep the Community Fed podcast with White Center Food Bank. This is episode 3. I'm one of your hosts, Carmen, the executive director at White Center Food Bank.
Hey everybody, I'm Gabbi Gonzales. I'm the co-chair for the board of the White Center Food Bank.
We have a special treat for you today. We have a community queen in the house with us today.
So excited. So I'm going to read my intro for you because I don't want to forget a piece at the end that I really want to say. So I heard about you before I met you. You were doing the work of grassroots community organizing when I was still learning what the work to do even was. I've had the privilege to partner with you and learn from you. And I'd like to take this moment to express a little bit of gratitude for the little and the big ways that you have worked to help me grow into the social justice-minded person that I am today. So welcome. So excited to have you on the podcast, Roxana.
Hi, everybody. I'm so honored to be here with my family of the White Center Food Bank to talk about how do we keep our community fed, and also the ways in which we all collectively pour care and love and abundance back into our communities through the work that we do.
Great.
Yay. So for listeners, do you want to give them just a little introduction of who you are and like your history and how you've come into this work?
Yeah. So what's up, everybody? I'm Roxana Pardo Garcia, and I am a cultural worker based here in Burien, serving the South King County Latino residents. And I have been actively in community since I was about 15 years old when I was in high school. And I think my rage is what propelled me to be in community in this way. And I've always loved community. I have always had a passion and anger for social justice and just things feeling right for community. I am now an executive director by accident, thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. What I thought was going to be a 3-month pantry has now evolved into a completely scaled nonprofit organization.
Oh, wow.
And so here we are trying to figure things out and experiment and take risks and innovate and create and do things differently so that we can start seeing the outcomes that we want to see for our community.
I love that. Build the plane as it flies.
Yes.
Something we say often.
All the time.
So how did you find yourself starting during COVID-19 and responding to the community need?
Yeah, I think, I always reference Adrienne Marie Brown and emergent strategy and the way that they talk about that it's the small things, right? And every time I think back to that particular moment in time, I think of all the small things that kind of gathered together to make this big thing happen. And so it was a combination of a couple different things. One, I was working for the city and I hated it. And I was like, I want to be back in my community. I was like, I want to be back in Burien. I miss Burien. So there was that. And then there was all of this synergy around mutual aid that was occurring. Yeah. And given that I had a government job, I had, and now I wasn't commuting into the city. So I had all the disposable income. And I was like, how do I move my now this money that's available into the community? And then also being a chismosa, I was just overhearing a conversation that my mom and my aunt were having. And she's like, I need to access food. But if I go to the food bank, they give me things that I don't cook with or I don't know. And so I gift it or I don't take it. And she was like, she just was. And so that was the light bulb moment of why is there not a food bank that gives people the food that they eat? And I immediately picked up the phone and I called Pastor Lina at Lake B, a Co-Virginia para los Niños, Sandy at Colectiva Legal del Pueblo, Heather, who was at the ED of New Futures at Southwest Youth and Family Service at the time.
I love her.
Celie at the CDA.
Of course,
and I was like, hey, what do y'all think about starting a Latino food bank? And all of them said yes.
Wow.
And they're like, and so we pulled resources. They sent volunteers and it just started. And we were gathering and trying to figure out what food do we put in these boxes? Where do we purchase the food? And so this organic kind of snowball that occurred, and it just kind of kept snowballing. And now we have this castle that we're building.
It's the strong women in that story for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that really shine.
Yeah. And you now here you are 4 years later, still continuing that hard work. How has it changed over the last 4 years?
I think at the beginning we were a food bank. That's the way we identified. And about 2 years ago, we made this pivot where like we're not a food bank. We are a community and culture building organization, because we pivoted our food bank model to embed a shared leadership and shared power model into our food bank. One of the things, as someone who grew up in this neighborhood, who's from Burien and who serves community that I grew up with, one of the things that I do not want is for my community to not be actively participating, one, in their own lives, but two, in their communities. And the fight for equality or for equity, all the things, for liberation, for justice, is not just a fight is not just the Roxana fight. It's not just the Alimentando al Pueblo fight. It's the community fight. And so as I see the kind of vision, the trajectory of the organization and where we're going to end up, to me, it's really important to kind of scale not just my team, but to scale the capacity of the community to like walk alongside us in that fight. And so that's how our work has transitioned. We still, we have our Monday food bank. Folks are required to attend an orientation, and they're required an annual orientation to kind of like refresh what they know. And we talk about trauma. We talk about white supremacy. We talk about colonialism. We talk about community agreements. Like, what are the collective expectations we have of each other as we are building and working in community? And then they're able to access the food bank. They're also required an annual contribution. So they don't have to give money, but they have to give something. So we never struggle with getting volunteers because we have 230 active community members who at any point in time were able to say, hey, we need people for this. And they show up. And that's a beautiful thing to have them be really active and really care. And so, but then we opened another program on Thursdays, which is like our emergency food program. Folks don't need to go to our orientation. So that is open to any Latino in King County. We have expanded our boundaries outside of Highline as an experiment to see how that goes and to make the case for other cities to be like, y'all need to step up and start giving cultural foods out. But that is the ways in which we are now existing, in addition to like our community programming and also our celebrations.
That's so great. At the White Center Food Bank, we're really leaning into power shifting and power sharing. So I love that you mentioned that. Would you mind sharing an example of what that looks like within your staff and board?
So, yeah. So currently we are about to start undertaking a 6-month strategic planning process. And one of the things that since the inception of Alimentando al Pueblo, we've wanted to create what's called an asamblea comunitaria. So in a lot of indigenous communities in Latin America, they have a governance style that's called community assemblies. And what that is that it's folks from the community who come together on an X amount of times a year to make decisions for the collective. So we, through the strategic planning process, we're gonna fold that in because what we want is a 3-pronged leadership model at our agency. So we have our board of directors, which you all know is historically really inaccessible to communities.
Yeah.
There's also really hard to have someone you serve be on your board. Yeah. Just that conflict and just the tension. And also we want young people. Yes. And boards are also very accessible to young people. So there's that. When we get the resources, we're going to horizontalize our leadership structure. So we will not have executive directors nor co-executive directors. We will actually have what's called a leadership cabinet that oversees all the day-to-day operations of our organization. And that collective body will be the leadership, the quote-unquote leadership body of day-to-day operations. And then the Asamblea Comunitaria will meet on a quarterly basis. And that is the body that the board and the leadership cabinet will report to, and will have accountability through to ensure that we are following through on our vision and our mission and the work plan that we set out to accomplish at the beginning of the year. And the Asamblea Comunitaria will have 15 participants, all representing various communities under the Latino umbrella. So we will have elders, young people, Afro-Latinos, Indigenous Latinos, LGBTQ folks, youth, like all of the women, moms, like all of the folks that we know we want at the table with a very particular lens. There will be a seat that will be designated for that particular identity or population within our community. And of course, people who we serve. And so that's one of the ways in which it shows up. The other thing is that we, one of the frameworks in which we operate under is the healing justice framework. And so we bring along either a mental health therapist or an elder who has, who like spiritual elders. We all have them in our communities. And we do not create new programming if a healer is not at the table. And so part of that is because what healing justice tells us is that the movement forward has to have healing. And the future that we create has to have healing principles and healing practices at its core, so that we do not continue to harm people, but we actually are working towards like a liberation that is rooted in our spiritual, like our spirituality, like the wellness of our spirit, but also like the wellness of our biology. Because when you look at racism and all the things, it's not just like a microaggression. It's literally like a biological manifestation, and that's why people are getting sick. And so that is the other how we also do that work, is we always have a healer at the table.
Yeah, that's really inspiring to hear about the healing and celebration piece of it. I think for me personally, that's a piece that I can sometimes leave by the wayside when I need to remember to integrate that into my work. And so it's really interesting to hear how you all are intentionally incorporating that into the organization. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, that piece is so important, and I think something that often gets overlooked. Especially like under a white supremacy society, is like we don't talk about feelings. Like, you're weak if you talk about your feelings or like try to go through healing, but that, like you said, is the only way to go forward. And it's something I've been thinking about lately, just like thinking about our customers, the traumas that they carry through their bodies when they come into White Center Food Bank, and like, is that something that we might follow in your footsteps moving forward? I'm not sure. I hope so. And something that Randy is actually going to launch next year is like this trusted messenger program, and trying to have folks, customers and people that aren't using White Center Food Bank, like be a part of the process of what White Center Food Bank does. Because like you said, like so often, like nonprofits are built off of a white supremacy model, right? Like it's top heavy with leadership, and people at the top are telling the customers or the constituents of the food bank like what to do, what you should eat, how you should eat. And we firmly believe, like you do, that people are the experts in their own lives, and they should have the autonomy, and they have all the skills to make those decisions for themselves, and they know what's best for them.
Yeah, that's 100% right.
Yeah, I think last week I was talking about this, and joy is not just the outcome, it's the strategy. Right? Like, we often see joy and celebration as this, like, this happens after you do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And the way that I think about it, it's like, no, actually, like, joy is the strategy. Like, how do you build in moments of celebration and joy into the things that you do? Because the work we do is serious enough.
Right.
Tackling food insecurity and disenfranchisement is really difficult, hard work. And how do we embed celebration and joy into how we actually operate, right? Now that I'm in this place and have been just so honored and to be able to like steward what I have for my community. I think that I lost my train of thought. It was really good too.
Everything you say is gold, so
I agree with that.
I'm like, edit this out. People don't need to know that I lose my train of thought. Just kidding. What was I saying? Dang. That now that I'm in this place and that I've just like experimented my way here, because that's really what it has been. It's been a full experiment every time. That like food banks, a place where people go get one of their basic needs met, can absolutely be a site of transformational change. Like, and I don't think that historically we have looked at food banks in that way.
Yeah.
We have seen, just given the history of food banks, my very limited knowledge, because this is not my arena, and also acknowledging like the charity model in which food banks are embedded in, right? And it's just like, one, people living in poverty deserve dignity and respect always. It does not matter how they come to you. They are deserving of being treated like a human being and all of everything that they bring with them. But I just don't think we've ever seen a food bank where so many vulnerable people come as a place of like power, or as a place of like really being able to transform, one, the individuals that come through our door, and also in turn have them transform their society so that we can change the material conditions that, you know, that plague us.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, that's, to me, I'm like, why wouldn't this place be a place of transformation? Why wouldn't this place be a place where we can talk to people about what they're going through, or be that touch point to belonging, right? Like, food isn't just about people getting fed and not being hungry. It's a place of like cultural affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place of cultural belonging. It's also a place of cultural celebration, because like, hey, here's some food that you know how to cook with. Like, that's a really celebratory thing to be able to offer. And so I'm just a really firm believer now in this version of our organization. I'm like, yes, food banks are absolutely a place where transformational things can occur.
Well, I feel like they always could have been, right? Except for we didn't allow them to be, and we didn't allow the community that we serve to really steer what happened there, because all of the cultures of the folks that get food from the White Center Food Bank and your food bank, they know how to celebrate. They know what they need in life. And I think one of the really cool things against pushing back against white supremacy norms is the willingness to learn in public, make mistakes, and willing to back up if you need to reassess how you're doing things and move forward in the speed of trust. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we did a survey, and about like 80% of the people who come to us through word of mouth. Like, we don't have to do any promotion, which is really nice, and also really sad. But I think that that's just like a testament to like folks feeling a sense of belonging, and also just being really in awe that they receive the foods that they get. I think so we have like 5 commitments that we, like, our values, pillars, whatever they want to call them. And the first one is the facilitation of healing and the creation of memories. The second one is cultivating a community of imagination. The third one is to reinvest back into community. The fourth one is culture of abundance. And then the fifth one is being culturally rooted in our programming. And the one around imagination actually was added this year, given all of the work that we've been doing internally with our team to activate their imagination. So in 2020, when we started, people were coming in the food bank line, and I would ask them, what box do you want? Do you want the Central American or the Mexican one? And I just got these blank stares. Like, they just didn't understand the question because they had no context for it. And they just would stare at me, and I'm like, where are you people from? And they're like, oh, my Salvador. Okay, you get the Central American box. Jalisco. Okay, you get the Mexican box. And then when they returned was when they were like, oh, I didn't know that this was a Latino food bank.
Oh.
Granted, we had flyers that said that.
Oh, well.
But you know how that goes.
Oh, totally.
And so they were like, I didn't realize that we were getting food that we ate. And there was 2 things that kind of occurred in my mind at that point. One, this like overwhelming sense of pride of being like, yes, I'm so glad that I'm able to steward this with like all of these women to like make this a possibility for community. And then the other piece was like just the deep sadness for the impoverished state of my community's collective imagination, that they couldn't even fathom that someone would give them the food that they ate. The most basic thing, that anybody can do. And I was like, dang, we can't even imagine that far. So imagine trying to imagine like a completely different paradigm or a completely different framework. And so that's why we added in that pillar was like, no, we need to be really intentional about cultivating our community's imagination. I'm a student of Trisha Hersey, who is the Nat Bishop, who's behind the Nat Ministry, and talks about rest as resistance.
Yes.
And she said something one time that will always stick with me, and I think about it a lot, is if we are like, the future of our world lies in our ability to imagine. And if we are too tired to dream, how are we going to create the worlds that we deserve? And I think about that a lot with my community, just given the fact that they're just overworked, right? That a lot of them come to this country and get dehumanized and get stripped of their ability to dream and imagine. And I'm like, how do we build in a way that allows for our community to realign with that imagination so that they can imagine a different paradigm? I was like, because I don't want to run a food bank for the rest of my life. I'm not interested in having Alimentando al Pueblo be around for 100 plus years.
Right.
No.
White Center Food Bank has been around for over 50 years. Mm-hmm. And that's a big reason why we decided we need to have a really intentional strategic plan, because at the end of the day, like, we're not doing too much different from when we started 50 years ago, right? It's a band-aid to what our communities are going through. And how do we leverage our resources to support community in a way that's meaningful and allows them to get to that other step that they dream of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to take a step back, because I haven't heard of the ministry you were talking about. Maybe folks listening haven't either. Is there a short rundown or share a little bit more on that topic?
Yeah, so you can find Trisha Hersey's work on Instagram. It's called The Nap Ministry, just like that, The Nap Ministry. And then she has a new book called Rest is Resistance, a manifesto. So recommend, if you don't have Instagram, go ahead and purchase her book. But she particularly talks about how rest is resistance for Black folks, particularly those who are descendants of enslaved Africans, and about how rest is actually like a practice to resist, like, one, dehumanization, but also like the super racialized capitalistic society that we live in. And so I'm a student of her work, and I definitely take a lot of what she gives out and fold it into the work that we're doing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
You would love it.
Oh,
love
I already
her.
know
Yeah.
I would.
My therapist told me to take a look at Nap Ministry. Yeah.
I'll check it out.
She also has a rest deck.
Yes.
So cards. So you just put,
I love cards.
So when you pull a card a
I
day
wanna
and be
pull a
like,
card.
okay, this is what she told me to do.
Mhm.
One of them is stop grinding. You're not a machine. You're a human. Just reminders to chill out.
Yeah, I feel that. Thanks for sharing. I guess a question that I have for you, because we're talking a lot about celebrating and healing. What's a way that you celebrate and heal these days?
Ooh, good question.
Like me personally or me professionally?
You could answer to either. I am kind of interested to hear. Yeah, I'm kind of interested to hear both, or particularly maybe personally first, leaning into that.
I love taking naps. I'm a Taurus. I am a dedicated student of napping.
Wow.
So I love taking naps. So when I'm feeling tired or feeling overwhelmed or just being like, today was a good day, I'm gonna go ahead and take a nap. That is one of the ways in which I heal and I celebrate. I love being with people. I also like writing. I enjoy writing, and so I do a lot of writing, and just processing and reflecting that way. And in community, our team, we just started birthday Mondays, and so the last Monday of the month we celebrate. Today we just celebrated Jorge and Margarita's birthday.
What?
Yeah.
Yay!
And so we're doing that on a monthly basis. Our last professional development. So we have 2 evening meetings with our team. The first one is workshop, and then the second one is more of let's teach you a practice. So tonight our team is actually going to a sound bath. So we're gonna do a sound bath all together to start integrating the things that we've been learning, and integrating a lot more wellness. So we're talking about a team outing. We're gonna have a field trip with all of our team and go somewhere fun with each other and just disconnect and not think about work. And so I think doing a lot of that, but also naming things that I want to celebrate. We just recently hit a pretty big milestone where we raised. We have currently $1 million committed, in funds raised in this calendar year, which is double our budget from last year.
Woo!
So we've doubled in size, which I was like, you know what? As a little regular schmeckler brown girl from Berrien, this, I'm gonna claim this because when I wrote my projected budget, I was terrified. I was like, where the hell am I gonna find $900,000?
And you did,
and I found it. It found
abundance,
me.
Right?
It found me.
Abundance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just naming things as they come and not being scared to be we did this, this happened, and let's celebrate that.
Yeah, thank you. I wonder, because I'm not familiar, can you talk a little bit more about the team that you work with and who they are and what positions they're in? How big the organization is, kind of a little overview?
Yeah, so we have technically 4 full-time team members. One of them is in AmeriCorps. So it's me and then Jorge one of the things that I didn't want was to give generic job titles. So we went really fancy schmancy with the titles, and people don't understand them, but it is what it is. So Jorge, he's our community wellness cultivator. And so his job is actually working with the small Latino-owned businesses in the area to really cultivate their understanding of nonprofits, but also not food banks, in particular ours. And we're trying to build a Latino we are in the process of building a Latino-centered food system. And then we have Arlene, who just joined us, and she's our community healing steward. And so her job is to build out what's called our Food Justice Ambassadors program. So we got money through the Department of Health, through the HEAL grant. They have like 10 different versions of HEAL, but this one's like the Healthy Environment for All, something like that. So it'll be a cohort of 20 individuals who will go through a 12-week, 4-hour each session to talk about environmental racism, and particularly how like the food system gets impacted by environmental racism. I'm really excited for that body of work because our team includes an environmental justice expert who's Chicana, a mental health therapist, and an elder in our community who's done an incredible amount of work in like the kind of healthcare system and just like all over the place. And so they're teaming up to create this program, and everybody will go through this curriculum, which I'm really excited about. And then we'll have ambassadors who are able to talk about food justice, particularly as it relates to kind of the landscape of environmental justice. So that's our 4 like full-time.
Is that a program for youth or adults, or
it's adults?
All individual? Awesome.
It's for adults. Yeah,
great.
It's for adults in our community. It'll be all in Spanish, so it will all be in language. We're reserving two of the seats for actually the business owners that we're working with. So we're going to offer them a seat to see if they're interested, if they have capacity, because we want them to come along the process. And then we have, I think, like 14 team members who work our food bank. So we have a co-leader. So we've horizontalized where we can. And so we have co-leaders inside in our packing team, who are the folks who receive all the deliveries, pack all the boxes, because we're still a drive-through model. And then we have the co-leaders who are our curbside team. And then they have their own team. And then we have our registration team. And then we have a specific person that focuses on building relationships with vendors so that we can source and purchase directly from vendors. And so that is our entire food bank team. And the majority are all immigrant folks.
Wow.
Majority are all immigrant moms who've really never worked in these kind of environments before. So we got, thankfully, to BSK and their capacity building grant. Mm-hmm. We just got money.
Yay.
So 6 of them are going to go through a 10-week computer course. So that we can get them up to date on all of our systems and get them, some practice typing and utilizing Google Drive and Microsoft and emails and calendars and all of the basic stuff that, we assume people should know.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, BSK is King County's Best Start for Kids grant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we're one of the grantees for that.
Say out the acronyms.
And so, we're really excited. So they're going to start a 10-week computer course. And we're really excited to build. We've been doing a lot of professional development with our team because so many of them have never been to trainings, have never actually gotten professional development in the ways that we're giving them. About 12 of us are going to Facing Race, the conference that's happening in St. Louis in November.
Oh, yay.
With Dr. Kindy? Is that his
no,
conference?
That happens every other year. And they switch cities. All of like the race, like equity, justice, social justice.
I think one of my coworkers is joining you on that.
Manuel.
I love him. Oh my gosh, I can't even.
Yes. And so there's like 12 of us going. They've never been to a conference. Many of them have never been out of the state.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's go. And thankfully, like resources aligned, and we were able to pay for everything.
That's awesome. That's
going to be such a great opportunity for you all. I don't want to tell Manuel's story, but the one thing I will say is I invited him out to talk to youth about his journey into his career. And he never said why or how or anything like that. He just said, like, pick me up and I'll come down and I'll do it. So I feel so happy that he made his way into a partnership with me. It's been really fun.
Yeah, he's behind. He built our social media presence, and he also is behind the socials on Beauty Beauty Bomb Bash.
Yeah.
So he's been part of our family for quite a bit of time.
Good. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love thinking about like building capacity with your own staff too, because from White Center Food Bank's perspective, like we didn't take them to St. Louis, but we took them to Yakima last year. And for a lot of folks, it was their first conference that they had ever been to. They had never had that opportunity before. And I think it's really important to like give folks opportunity as well that are doing the work too. I love that you're getting to take your team to St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, when we started embarking on like, you know, I was like, okay, we gotta like, we were doing a lot of outward stuff, and I was like, wait a minute, we gotta like balance it out and do some inward stuff. But one of the things that I'm very clear with my team, I was like, if you are unwilling to do the work of your heart, if you are unwilling to be transformed, this is not the place for you. Because here we don't separate the professional and the personal. It all comes together because we walk in as full human beings when we walk through the door. I was like, but if you are unwilling to do the work of being transformed and like reconciling with your own demons, like this is not for you, because you cannot actively transform a community if you have not like participated in that process for yourself.
Yes.
And so I'm very, very clear. I'm like, this is what the expectation is around this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anti-racism work, if it doesn't start here in your heart first, like where is it really starting? Right. I appreciate that within your organization, like Race Forward is a really awesome organization. So I'm glad that you all are going to that. And that's one of the foundational things that we're doing too at the White Center Food Bank is we're pivoting. So our strategic plan is based in the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, Undoing Racism training. And like that wasn't an option either for board staff and then a section of volunteers. Like you had to be really willing to like do the hard work of looking at yourself and continuing to do that work to be a part of the larger work.
Yeah. So I want to bring it back to food for a second. What meal reminds you of home?
Enchiladas michoacanas.
Oh,
I saw the question. I already knew the answer. Enchiladas michoacanas. So my family's from Michoacan, which is like southwest Mexico, and we have a very particular style of enchiladas. And so there's not actually any restaurant where you can go get that. Like they just don't make them because they're so time intensive, and they're just so particular. But that's what reminds me of home. Enchiladas.
How often do you get to have that?
Whenever my mom wants to make them, which is not often. Yeah, like once every 2 months.
That's
pretty. I mean, I like to have them weekly, but you can't do that.
Is that something that you get to like participate in making with her?
No, because I have an immigrant mom and she refuses to let me in the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
I haven't earned my stripes yet, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm still like observing. But no, she
That's
hasn't.
fair. And eating, which is really what it's about, right?
Totally. We recently went to one of your events.
It was delicious.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. And we didn't get there too late, but late enough to miss the Oaxacan pozole, which I heard was dope.
Yes.
It's food from Oaxaca for me all day, every day. Yeah.
Well, I have really great news. Is that we're bringing it back.
Yes!
By popular demand.
Yes!
So December 13th, and we will have double the pozole.
Wow.
Because we sold out in 90 minutes.
I love
and
that.
And the Oaxacan pozole is making a return. And I have asked her for more. And she's also doing a vegan one.
Oh, cool.
So Alebrijes, right here in White Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's selling it today if y'all want to go stop by to get some Oaxacan pozole.
That's so tempting.
I know, right?
But yeah, we are bringing it back. We weren't going to, but we just got a lot of requests.
That's awesome. Well, and congratulations. That should feel really good, right?
Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I went home that night, I told my mom, I was like, I have had a lot of really great ideas. Alimentando al Pueblo being number 1. But Pozole del Pueblo, it's coming in number 2. Mm-hmm. I was like, that was a genius idea, Roxana. I was like, good job.
How did you come up with that?
So I love pozole. I love pozole. And I've always, because, we're a quote unquote a food bank.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we need to have I've always wanted to do a food fundraiser.
Yeah.
But but we're Latino food bank. And so I was like, tacos are really played out. There's just so much taco fests. And then I had gone to Chicago and they have a mole de mayo. And it's they close out a huge street and it's a bunch of mole vendors.
Wow.
But we just don't have that many vendors who do mole is just really difficult, and the allergies. And so last year, in March, I just was like, I really want to do a food like a food fundraiser. And I was like, wait a minute, pozole. Like, it's really easy. And I don't feel guilty asking businesses to donate it because it's really cheap to make. It's not, you can make a lot. It's a soup, right?
Yeah.
It's a stew. And so I was like, pozole. Okay. And then I was like playing around with like Pueblo pozole. I was like, pozole del Pueblo. Perfect. Unfortunately, it didn't happen last year because I had something happen in my life. But I was like, it's coming here. It's coming. And I made it happen.
And it did.
And it happened.
And look.
And here we go, round 2.
And we're going to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're going to have
back.
mariachi this time. So mariachi is coming to play music table to table. Again, there'll be double the pozole that we had last time. So we can really, people can really enjoy. But yeah, we're going to make it happen one more time.
I loved it. It was number one, delicious, of course. But then also just like getting to see what each region's pozole is like and like teaching the community, like me, someone that doesn't come from that community, but getting to learn something new that night was really cool and really special and just like true to your organization's work too. I love that.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a very genius idea on my behalf.
Yeah.
I'm gonna claim that
Good
one.
for you.
Yeah, celebrate it.
I told my mom, I said, look what my love for pozole did. It was like a whole event. I was like, it was really cool because I don't typically get to enjoy my events. You probably know this, Carmen. Like when you do events, you're just running around hosting. And, and that one I really got to enjoy. And it was really cool to see people and their excitement. Like, I'm sure like the people got platters, like we did the 5 for 40.
Yes.
Oh, we got
That's
the 5
what
for
we
40.
Yeah. and then just the giddiness of people of just like, this is such a good idea. Like there was just people just felt, it was really cool. It was like, I really just kind of took some time to sit and just watch and observe and just how excited people were. Like, this is like, wow, this is cool. Like you get a sampler. We're adding flights next time though. So you get a smaller sampler.
Fun.
So if you really like, so we're adding a smaller one. That way you can try all of them and then figure out which
one you want to go full force on.
Carmen and I split a platter, and not to seem like a total anchor, but I do think I could have done one on my own.
Definitely. I could have too.
Yes. It will still be an option. We're just adding a smaller
I like
serving
that idea.
size.
It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. It was so much fun. And we brought one of the coworkers at the food bank, our warehouse manager, and he got his own flight, and it was really fun to get to share that with him too.
Yeah.
It
was a good time.
We ate, we spilled, we voted, we cleaned
Yeah,
up.
we did vote. Yes, I took some home. It was perfect. So what is like your philosophy to fundraising? Like thinking about the pozole event and
I don't really know if I have a philosophy. I think I have an energy, like abundance,
Yeah.
and being in alignment with abundance and doing my own work to kind of undo the trauma that I have around scarcity so that I can welcome the abundance for my community. I think that's my philosophy. And I've been really working really hard this year on that because, man, like growing up in poverty and being an executive director, fundraising through a global pandemic, and now in this odd post-pandemic world where people really don't have the disposable income they used to have.
Yeah.
Like I was like, man, how am I going to do this? And this year I kind of just like gave it to the ancestors and we're like, look, you see what I'm doing? Like if you can align me with the resources and the people, that's what I want.
Right.
Like I think I was like, a lot of nonprofit directors kind of, there's this metaphor of a lot of us chasing money.
Yeah.
And this year I was like, I'm not chasing money.
Attract.
I'm not chasing money. I don't want to be knocking on doors that don't want me or my community.
Yeah.
Like I want to be in alignment with people and foundations and organizations that are in alignment with me. Like in my community. And so that's really my philosophy. I don't really like Pozole del Pueblo, like it generated 2,500, which isn't a lot. When you think about like the bigger fundraisers that nonprofits do, like 2,500 is a drop in the bucket. But I was like, the crowd in there was so diverse. Like a bunch of our families that go to the food bank were there.
Yeah.
And they got to feed all of their family members for like $100.
Right.
Where can you do that?
Right.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm just like, you know what? If we keep doing these really fun, innovative things, that builds our network, that builds like our visibility. Pozole del Pueblo happened during our Comida y Corazón campaign, which was our Latino food drive that we were doing. And so to me, this year wasn't about like how many pounds of food we like collect. It was about getting our like logo out there and people making a association between Cultural Food Bank, Alimentando al Pueblo. And a bunch of people that we had met through all of our campaign events were at Pozole del Pueblo, which was really cool.
That is cool.
And we raised $13,000, and it was literally raised because of one-on-one interactions. It wasn't raised because we did like a, hey, give us money through an email. It was literally our team, boots on the ground, talking to complete strangers at PCC, outside of Alebrijes, outside of La Esquina, outside of Little Chicken Burger, literally talking to people and people being moved to donate to us. And so I'm like, that's a feat. $13,000
Yeah.
on one-on-one interactions.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, we're good. I was like, we did a good job.
In what you were saying about having your community be at the Pozole event and them getting to actively participate in essentially a fundraising event, I think is really important too, because, you know, a lot of times there's like this assumption that if people are using food bank services, like they can't donate. And that's just not right. Like, for one thing, it's not up to anybody else to decide who can do what. But donating is really for everyone, right? Like, it looks different, and what is significant to you might be different for me. But something you mentioned earlier too is just giving your community the opportunity to volunteer as well. Like, that's another way to give back, and that gets overlooked a lot of times too. So I just love that Pozole event is like, it was really for everyone, that your community can participate, the people that use the food bank services and feed their family for like a really good deal. Like, yeah, you're right, you can't find that in a lot of places, especially in the Puget Sound region. Everything's so expensive. So I just love everything you do, everything about your organization, and just having it be really community focused, community centered. Like, getting to be around you is so inspiring, but getting to be in conversation with you, my heart is just really full, and I love everything about you.
Thank you.
Fangirling over here.
Thank you.
But do you do like a end of the year giving? Because for a lot of nonprofits, like, and for us, a lot of our gifts come in at end of the year.
Yeah, so we do have a campaign that we're launching, which is our Holidays with El Pueblo, which is raising $15,000 for our holiday boxes in December. So that's our campaign. But what we give, so we do one distribution. It's going to happen December 21st, and they just get like a lot more food. They're going to get, we also give them vouchers to go. So we don't do like meat. And so we're going to give them a voucher to go purchase at El Paisano here in White Center.
Oh, awesome.
So 260 families will get $25 to go and buy meat that they need. They'll get Costco sized toilet paper and detergent. We also commission an art piece from a local artist. And each family will get that art piece for their homes. And we also give out like champurrado, hot chocolate, and pan dulce at our distribution. We also have music. There's live music and like a balloon arch. So like, our holiday distribution is really amped up because it is the celebration of end of year, but it's also like, see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy the holidays and see you in 2 weeks, and here's all of this food to hold you over while we're gone.
I love that. And if listeners are interested in getting involved, how do they find you? How do they donate? Can they volunteer?
Yeah, so Alimentando al Pueblo. Please link it somewhere in this podcast. Because the spelling is really long. I need to change our like website. I need to just put like aap.org. So Alimentando, we're on Facebook and Instagram. We're really active on social media. You can sign up to volunteer on our website through the Take Action page, and then you'll just get a like an email when we're looking for volunteers. And we are going to be looking for volunteers for our December distribution, because it's a production. it's like a whole event that occurs.
Did you already say when your distributions are?
On Mondays. So they're Mondays, and then the last Thursday of the month.
During the day or in the evening?
They're actually during the day, because we have to manage expectations. Because if we were doing the evening, we were going to just get mobbed.
Oh, yeah.
So we just kind of maintain where we're at for now until we build capacity to offer more hours and more food.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So visit us on the socials. We're pretty active.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That's gonna, I think, conclude our episode.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Roxana, for joining. Always an inspiration.
I know,
I
seriously.
love to hear about the work that you're doing and know that, like, I love this, like, vision of, like, folks sprinkled out all over, like, this area doing the good work and knowing that we're not alone. And we are hopefully healing and celebrating and uplifting the community together.
Yeah, I think, I know we're building our partnerships with the White Center Food Bank, and I'm really, really glad that Jorge, has been coming around and that we're talking and sharing resources. And I think that's the beauty of the work, right? When we can see alignment and be like, we're not in competition.
No,
we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Can we all just feed our people, please? Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and achieving food justice takes all of us, right? Working together.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So thank you both for being in partnership with our organization and for the invitation to come and share a little bit about what we're doing in Little Old Beer.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Keep the Community Fed podcast can be found anywhere you listen to your podcasts. You can always find more information at whitecenterfoodbank.org or on all of our socials. Our handle is White Center Food Bank. Thank you.
Thanks.
Gracias.